For several weeks now, ABC 6 News has continued on their investigation on the controversy surrounding the administration at Rochester Community and Technical College. Tonight, we're continuing that investigation with another issue the college is facing, and that is accreditation. ABC 6 News anchor Laura Lee joins us now in studio with details on the future of RCTC. Laura?
Betsy, the controversy surrounding RCTC is having a negative impact on the college's core mission. I'm told the looming deadline for accreditation is what the faculty wants to focus on now. And they tell me they're ready and on board to work together, but are awaiting leadership to get the work done.
We've tried to find ways to work together, to have win-win kind of situations, really everything under the sun. And at almost every turn, our attempts to do that have just been met with indifference or a lack of concern.
Strong words from Student Body President Mike Wenzel, along with the support of staff, faculty, and AFSCME union members. Just 2 weeks ago, another letter was sent to Minskew's system office with an exhaustive list of concerns, citing that the environment at RCTC has become toxic, further asking for the immediate reassignment of President Leslie McClellan.
And it comes at a time where we have accreditation on the line.
Chad Israelson is RCTC's faculty president. He says faculty are awaiting leadership for guidance on how to move forward with accreditation at risk.
And the faculty definitely are on board to assist, but it's the kind of thing where, really the entire college has to pull together.
RCTC will be up for reaffirmation of accredited status in 2017 after a scheduled comprehensive quality review that spring. ABC 6 News obtained a copy of a recent report from the Higher Learning Commission, which indicates the college is in some serious trouble heading into that review. Language in the System Appraisal Feedback Report released in November says, quote, "It is of grave concern to the review team that RCTC fails to meet a single criterion based on information in this portfolio." It also says the recent pattern of turnover in institutional leadership has adversely affected RCTC's governance. There are serious concerns about the college's ability to maintain its accredited status. According to the Higher Learning Commission, if a college loses its accreditation, the college can lose access to financial aid. And we learned roughly 82% of RCTC full-time students receive some form of financial aid, meaning thousands of students could be impacted.
We really look at RCTC as something that we're proud of. We've had a lot of success in the past. Our students are helping to drive the Rochester workforce and the Rochester economy, and so that's something that we just want to get back on track.
Lots of change of names.
To help get on track, President McClellan created a new position in August, a Chief Institutional Effectiveness Advancement Officer, who, according to their website, is responsible for the college's accreditation and overseeing strategic planning. But ABC 6 discovered that the same man, Marcus Babuea, in charge of accreditation, was terminated after just 1 year with South Louisiana Community College. We contacted SCLL, which says he was fired in March from a role very similar to the one he holds at RCTC. We reached out repeatedly to President McClellan and her executive staff, including Marcus Babuea, but so far they've denied all of our interview requests. On RCTC's website, the college says it has retained Management of America, a national consulting and research firm, to assist with the overall strategic planning process. But the final strategic plan promised at the end of June is still nowhere in sight.
A year and a half later, we're waiting for even a shred of the positive change to find out where we're going, where we're headed. Every change we've seen, at least that the students have seen, has been negative. It's been destructive.
Bottom line is that students are the heart of our business. Any student concerns ultimately have to be our concerns. Without students, there's no RCTC. So ultimately, what matters is that they are being served well.
It changes you when you see what people are capable of doing to other people.
When Captain Scott Behrens took his first cop job with the Owatonna Police Department, there were a few things he had to keep in mind.
All that stuff takes a toll on you. It makes life difficult.
He could only picture and be ready for the different situations he'd come in contact with. But what he didn't know was how much some of them would stick.
This is the kind of thing that you never forget. Being right down in that ditch. And the tractor, I don't remember where it was when I got here, but the Stahl family was coming this way. The tractor turned in front, and the crash happened, and it caused the stall vehicle to go down in the ditch, and like I said, it started on fire.
April 11th, 2009 is a day that still sticks with Captain Scott Behrens. A well-known couple in the Elgin community was killed in a car accident. Dale and Joanne Stahl were killed at the scene. Their granddaughter, Jessica, died at the hospital.
You know, as a cop, you understand that people die, and you can't control people's behavior. But when you see the effects that it has on a family, that's the hard part.
Behrens says the job brought difficulties like anger problems, health issues, and it even cost him a marriage.
The public may see law enforcement as callous and non-emotional, and that's really not the case.
Dr. Stephen Norton specializes in treating law enforcement officers.
And when they find themselves struggling, sometimes they start to question, well, maybe I can't handle this. And unfortunately, that can lead to some denial then.
He says officers have to want the help. And if they do, Dr. Norton says the first step is to talk about what's stressing them out.
They may have this idea, well, this is going to be permanent. This is going to be something I have to deal with forever. And that tends not to be the case. If an officer is having a psychological reaction to a bad incident, that often is a normal reaction to something that's very heavy and very traumatic.
Behrens, who is now in the investigations unit with the Olmsted County Sheriff's Office, says he should have gotten help sooner.
When I started this job, I didn't realize how much of it I'd take home with me. The thought when you could drop the uniform off, that it would stay there, but it doesn't. It's always there.
It's not a sign of weakness. It's not a sign of being a poor officer. It's not any of those factors. It's just the reality of dealing with a very difficult job that, frankly, most people in society could not manage at all.
Dr. Norton says the way officers are treated by the public has changed.
I think officers now are more cognizant of how the public views them and aware that the public doesn't necessarily view them in the same positive light that, say, 5 or 6 years ago they may have.
And for a police officer, deputy, now captain, he hopes the younger generation of officers ask for help sooner than he did.
We need to know that behind the badge and all the gear, it's a person just like you. Just like you. And then when they take that off, they have the same life stresses at home that you do.
Good job, sweetie.
Lynn Port works with the click of her camera, knowing firsthand the value of saving some of life's most precious moments.
When my daughter was born, I was in liver and kidney failure, and I was induced 3 weeks early. She was born 5 pounds 2 ounces, and she was not blue, she was gray. They laid her on my stomach, and they took her quickly over and started CPR and did that for several minutes. She finally made the tiniest little squeak, but for those few minutes it felt like hours.
An experience in the back of her mind when her photography career turned into another calling. Lynn volunteers for a group called Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep, a nonprofit connecting parents suffering the loss of a baby with a free gift of professional photography.
The more I read, the more I felt this just overwhelming need to be part of it.
On June 26, 2015, a healthy baby girl named Madison was born to Paula and Matt Tweet from Albert Lee.
She was 5 pounds 9 ounces when she was born. Now she's actually sitting up, which was kind of fun, interacting and smiling a lot.
But the Tweets went through a parent's worst nightmare before getting here.
We have now our second daughter, lost our first one. She was stillborn. I had not noticed movement that day. And then when the doctor looked at the ultrasound, I had a very sunken feeling. I remember he looked at me and all he said was, "I'm sorry," and I just cried.
While still in the hospital, they were given a gift, a stranger's willingness to preserve those few moments with their first daughter they named Morgan.
I mean, I was taking pictures of their angel. I mean, that was the first time I met them.
A photographer, now turned friend.
Infant loss is definitely something that's not talked about.
And by having those pictures, it helps people not necessarily understand exactly what you're going through, but they understand that, that is a person.
This area of the cemetery is an area for infants and children.
They say time heals all wounds. For the Tweets, it's making the short time they had with Morgan last longer.
it's a huge gift, and so we figured we could share that with our other kids someday, and tell them, you know, you did have this older sister and that she's no longer with us, but this is her story and this is who she was.